championships.
That's great. For who? For ESPN?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure who pays the freight,
That's great. Wow.
but she's the one that got the ticket.
Well, I can tell you what, not a lot of people say they went to that first game. Whoever was there, and that's it.
They could not have written a script. If they wrote a script,
I know the way it ended.
to make that game go that way. We're good. Okay.
I've got one more
All right.
and I'll tell you my thoughts about it.
Live from New York. All right, we're good? You're on.
All right.
Let me make one note. That we're starting this meeting at 6:35, 5:35, excuse me. And we have one board member that is anticipated but not here. And also, Mr. Reed and your associate, you're representing Mr. Taylor. He's not present either at this point.
Correct.
Okay?
Yes, sir. You ready?
Yep, go
All
for
right.
it.
So we're back in, I guess, for really was just going to boil down to a continuation of our previous meetings with updates, so that we can advise the board with those updates, let you know where we are and where we're going to try to get this thing finished up. So since we last met, we've made very, very significant updates to the plans technically. We've got for example, we've got all the layout finalized, stormwater, water, the sanitary layout, compliant entrances, that sort of thing. So on the technical side, we've got the plans to a point where they're, I would say, ready for a final review technically, with respect to those items. Some of the other big ticket items that I thought would come up and are going to be very important as we go along. Two things for me that are significant is traffic. Obviously, that's a huge question. It's a big variable. How significant is the traffic going to be as a result of this development? What impacts, positive or negative, are going to happen as a result of this impact? So Jeff has engaged Gordon Stansberry, another local engineer with technical expertise in traffic. Gordon has started his work on it. I did have a good conversation with him this morning. As it stands right now, he does not anticipate any adverse impact as a result of this development. Obviously, there's a caveat in there that he still needs to finish his report, needs to finish his work. One of the other things that he's working on but needs to wait on is he wants school to get back into session so that he can do his counts when everything is back fully operational.
Yeah, you got that 2-month overlap on either end of this season.
Yeah.
There will be school.
Yeah.
School impact. Yeah.
So that again is why Gordon wants to wait so that he can evaluate it properly given those additional parameters so that he can get things fine. But in my conversation with him, he was fairly confident that he does not anticipate any significant adverse impacts traffic-wise.
Okay.
I also spoke with Brad Newman from County DOT. Shared a similar sentiment. Didn't really see any adverse impact. Given the entrances, he too threw the caveat out there that until he gets Gordon's, he's going to want to see Gordon's final report before issuing the final sign-off. But based on the plans he's seen thus far, and he has seen these, that he does not feel as though there's going to be much of a negative impact.
In all of these, Ed, and I think it's implied that we would need some formal statement from each of these agencies after all the materials gathered and the dust settles. We've got some kind of a letter here.
Okay. Understood. Okay. And Gordon will his deliverable will be a final report that will have everything in it. And then same thing from Brad's office. We'll have to get curb cut permits from his office as well. One of the other things we've been exploring since we last met, we did go out and do some on-site soil testing to try and find areas to figure out what we are going to do with respect to septic. Obviously, this area is not serviced by public sewers, so we would have to come up with some sort of system to handle wastewater. At first, we were just strictly looking at doing on-site wastewater septic systems. We went out and did soil testing. We've done designs for those. But one of the other things we've also been looking at in the short course is we've been dealing with a distributor to do an on-site package plant. So in lieu of doing a number of leach fields, pump stations, dosing systems up to a leach field or a number of leach fields, in lieu of that, we would install what they call a package plant to provide that on-site wastewater treatment, ultimately to be able to discharge that wastewater on site. In all instances, it would require sign off from both the health department and New York State DEC by way of a speedies permit for wastewater. I have been trying to get a hold of Aaron over at the health department just to have that conversation with him proactively to say, do you have a preference? Which would be easier to permit both on his end and DEC.
It's safe to say that you have not submitted any on-site data to him,
That's correct.
right?
Yeah, because quite truthfully, I don't know, I operate a little differently. I would hate to spend all the time to put together, we've done all the math, we know what we're gonna need if we go the septic route, but didn't want to take the time to finalize that if he says, given the size and the scope of the project that they.
But in your opinion, you have a workable in-ground system?
In either case, not in-ground, it's gonna wind up being, out front. Yep. Out back, there is a vein of decent soil that went through there, so we were gonna propose a shallow trench system, out back.
For your leach field?
It's big.
It's
huge. The leach field, a number of.
But I mean, here's one of the things we've seen no
Shallow trench. Yeah.
We've seen, and board kind of jump in here as we go. We're just having a conversation tonight, and as what we see and what we might want to see here along the line.
Yep.
As I went through this, and I did not see any kind of projections as of what is your need. In other words, how many gallons? What are you projecting? What are you projecting your design on? I mean, without that, you're looking at build out. You're looking at total occupancy, and I'm not sure that's reasonable. But,
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Why wasn't a sewage treatment plant considered?
Well, that's what he's saying. A
That's what he's
package,
saying.
a package treatment plant is a self-contained, designed treatment plant that serves one particular use, which would be this park.
He's hedging his bet. He's got a on-site system that he thinks will work. That they have got, and you see on these plans, you've got some design, some design features for that. But if Board of Health wants him to go the other route, they are exploring that, to look at it as some kind of a package plan for septic. Pardon?
I almost think it would be cheaper,
No,
looking at what he has to do.
That's the $1 million question.
So Ed, one
yeah,
of the things.
probably literally, right?
Either package treatment plan, because I don't know the answer, is, what are the requirements for an operator that?
So that's a really good question. So we ended up having lunch with one of the distributors, one of the folks with the engineers of the distributors, because I had a similar question.
Yeah.
And, he sort of equated it to the old sump pumps. These things have developed to the point where the O&M that's required is far, far less than what they used to be. The technology has evolved such that there's so many electronic controls now that a lot of the O&M is handled that way. There are O&M requirements as far as following up on that, keeping track of things, changing out filters, that sort of thing. Those two, the product that he pitched to us is one that has already been vetted by DEC. And so they too, in their wastewater permit, their speedies permit would require an O&M plan to be in place for that.
So the regulations would require like a qualified person to check on it once in a while.
Precisely. Yeah. Yep.
And if you go that route, the intent that it remains a private operation.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it would, the
We're not-
developer would have, it would be theirs.
Right, we're not
Unless you
looking,
wanted it.
we're not looking, well, I don't think anybody, we don't want, it. I mean, that's gonna be
Yeah,
right
exactly.
up front,
And that's
nobody
understood, and I
wants
think
it.
that, that's
Yeah.
understood.
So that'll have to be,
But like I said,
I didn't know whether that, what you're I just wanted to see what you're
but
thinking.
that's why we wanted to meet with him, because I was even questioning, what the extent of the O and M on the back end on the, operation side was gonna be, but it sounds like it's not too bad. So that, as far as that side of it, just to close the loop on that, that's where I'm at, just trying to touch bases with the health department, have that discussion with them to see which they.
Would you folks like to see these numbers?
Yeah,
Is it water demand or?
Yeah,
what is it?
but this is
Yeah.
for septic, this is their projection for effluent at this point. And they're, base loads, whatever, if you'd like, do you wanna see that? Okay, so we'll get copies of that out. All right, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. But in the essence of an on-site system,
Yep.
now I'm fumbling around here because I can't find the right page. Well, I'm looking for your perk test and depot.
Yeah, so, I'm wondering if Corey even,
Well, it's here.
Yeah.
CA 125.
125?
You know how to navigate this, huh?
If the perk tests on a given day, they look pretty reasonable. The right, your 24-inch holes and stuff, I mean, the small holes. But when you went to the deep test, one of them there, you had some modeling at 27.
that's why we're going with a raised bed.
Okay.
So we've got three systems, Fred. We'd have one out
Okay,
back,
that's,
one in front, up along the road. That would be your raised bed because of that restriction.
And the one out back would be the
The shallow trench.
shallow trench?
Yeah.
okay.
So how many acres will that cover?
Couple. I don't know off the top of my head. It's crazy. It's
What would it be, like
What did
1,000
we-
foot?
yeah. I want to
1,000
say
foot
it was something
trenches.
like that. It was like
Yes,
900 and
perfect.
some feet.
Yeah, we did one. Yeah, it's big.
I mean, to me, it's almost more logical to, well, I don't know. I don't know if it would make more sense the way we've got it if you break it up in other campgrounds I've seen where they've got different pump stations that go to different, almost this,
Right.
they all sit next to each other but standalone
Right.
systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, it seems crazy to try to dose that many lineal feet of.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very big.
What is a Hope End section? I see it up here in the upper right-hand corner of the drawing.
Oh, what?
Hope End section.
Is that 125, Paul?
Yes, it's right up on the top of the page, right above.
HDPE.
Oh, HGTV, okay, I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
with the treehouse bungalows, they would use a bathroom facility down on the ground, I presume, or is that how it would work? Middle of the night,
No.
that might be in the bungalow?
Yeah.
With that system?
Yeah.
It's convenient. You don't want to be climbing up and down at 2 in the morning.
I haven't given any consideration to
If we could interject here while we're on the subject of the septic system.
Yeah.
In the overall plan, there are 6 bathroom/bathhouses
Yep.
there
Correct.
to service 192 units, supposedly, possible units. That's 30-some piece. That do we see a rendering or design of those? How many? I'm trying to figure out if they were equally placed, and you had arguably 2, which may not be reasonable, 2 people per unit. You're looking at 60 to 70 people per bathhouse. That, at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, doesn't
Yeah, but
seem
I don't
like that
think-
would work.
Yeah, but I'm not a camper. I don't think that that's how it works.
That'll work for the people with the cheaper campers,
Like the pop-ups.
but the people that have the most expensive, the fifth
All right,
wheel,
then
they
we
have
need to-
their own.
But we have no rendering of a campsite for a large RV, self-contained RV.
Well, that's what
You're
they
gonna
are.
have your
that's-
hookup. Pardon?
That's what they are.
Yeah,
Pardon?
That's what they are. The campsites you see on the plans, they accommodate.
Yeah, but we don't know where are the utilities. Are you
It's
gonna
on-
have fire pits?
They're here.
Huh?
It's here. The utilities, you mean?
Yeah, where
Yeah,
are
they
the
got full
utilities
hookup.
on those sites?
On the utility plan.
Let's see it.
yeah, they got the.
Show us where it
It's
is.
probably one of the sheets.
Which page number?
Still in order.
One twenty.
Let me see if I can do this upside down. Right?
Okay.
So each campsite
Yep.
is going to have water.
21.
Okay.
And this line here that you see going down with the clean out, that's their sanitary hookup. So you got your water line coming in with the individual water service stubbed up with a clean out located at each campsite.
I was wondering if you
What
had
are the
clean,
camp-
you
what
had
are
clean,
the-
those are all clean outs, huh?
Yeah, they're full hookup. You got to have clean
I
out.
saw that on there, I was wondering how many clean outs go out.
Yeah.
And you got to have electric service too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna have some attachment here.
Some
So,
pedestal.
yeah, so are these sites gonna have fire pits on them? I mean, these are things, I know, I think I saw somewhere, I think you had some hydrants or something plugged in, but that's what this fire company is gonna wanna see. They're
Right.
gonna want.
And that's a good point,
Huh?
Frank. I mean, that might be something where, we need to sit down with them and see how
They're gonna
They're
tell
gonna
you,
re-
yeah,
you know,
they're
they're
gonna
gonna
tell you
require
what they need, what they
Aqua
need.
stops at the,
Right.
the height or the RPZ in the building. What's done internally,
That's
may
right.
be a factor of what the fire department's going to see.
But that, and I think they're gonna know.
I mean, to
are
be
we-
completely candid, I got to imagine the size of these sites that people are going to be allowed to have fires.
Oh, yeah.
They're
But you need to, yeah, what's the surface gonna be in these sites? What are,
grass and stone.
so in other words, there's a stone kind of a driveway that
Pad.
the unit sits on?
Mhm.
Okay, no concrete pads, nothing of that nature?
I think, so when we did the drainage, I know when we put together this SWIP, I'm pretty sure that we ran that with poured pads on them. But I think that the intention, I'll have to let you know, but I think the intention is just to have the gravel pads in there. Everybody
Okay.
back in gravel.
But you're saying the SWIFT was designed for impervious?
All impervious,
Yeah.
even the
So
roads
that's-
going in,
yeah, so that's
there's
the
no
worst case
intention to
scenario.
pave them.
Yeah.
Right now, what we did,
But you designed it. for
Right.
analyzed,
Are
are
we-
using it
okay.
paved.
Any other questions on this venue here? Are we gonna go to talk about drainage now? Where are you
Sure,
in your?
so the drainage has been fully designed for the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, which page number would that be?
Well, it's a whole
If
series
you
there.
go, Paul, go to, you're gonna see, go to the grading plan, which is CA 130, which would be sheet 20. 31, this is where it starts. Then we've got 6 pages of grading.
Okay.
So,
Now, these retention ponds are gonna be wet ponds. Right? They're gonna be 12
Yeah.
plus feet deep.
You need
So
a
they're
fence-
all gonna be wet ponds.
You need a fence around that?
You're
Not
gonna,
at a certain depth, you know?
I think you're gonna probably have to look at that. You
not
can't have,
according to the regs.
What,
We
how
got
does
To
it?
the grade.
Yeah, it has to do with the grade, side slope on it.
pardon?
It has
They
to do
need
with
the
the
rate.
side.
Yeah,
Well,
you
depth
could
and height
have,
and
you could
everything,
have, you could have a unit, you could have like we're having now, groundwater's at the top. You know, your water table is gonna be up there. That's gonna be a pretty deep water pond you got small kids and everybody else walking around there. I would say that you've got to look at fences or something.
Well, they're designed with a shelf around them,
There isn't
aquatic
There's a
shelf,
bench
they
in
call it
there,
the
yeah.
aquatic shelf.
Right.
And and you have no more than 1 on 4 slope
Right.
back to the aquatic shelf. So that's supposed to be for any child that's supposed to be able to go up and down if they do fall in it. It's all supposed to be safety. They do it in housing tracks or all
Okay.
over. It's just, and then the water level's only gonna be what your outlet pipe's gonna be.
So
Right.
there's a code that'll drive that design.
Yeah, which we've designed
Yeah.
these in accordance with.
Okay.
And we're good.
I was just blown away how deep they are.
So ultimately,
Yeah.
Frank,
Huh?
The big tributary areas, gotta,
one of the next steps, I mentioned this to Ed, he knows, is that this has come along so far, but we're probably at a point where we gotta push this off to our people.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
gonna take a look at it and have them just check it over, tell us what.
That was just something that just kind of struck me that I could.
we get that question a lot.
Huh?
I said, we get that question a lot. I mean, when you look at the grading plan, it does look,
It looks
it looks drastic.
Yeah.
But as Dave said, you do have an aquatic bench. Your static water is at that elevation, so the contours you see up above that, in design, it's dry. You know, it uses that real estate in a storm event, but
Right.
statically, it's at the aquatic bench.
Is there aerator or water feature type?
Right.
Well, no, not as part of the design, but that may be something aesthetically.
Yeah.
See, what kind of caught my attention was you've got it on one of the plans, there's an existing little pond there right off the road up front. Okay?
Yeah.
That water level doesn't change.
Right.
It is green and it's whatever it is. And I'm going,
That could use a bubble.
huh?
Yeah.
That could use a bubble.
Yeah, you're looking at quite a bit of water at some point.
So, and to that end, so the next 5 sheets in the set are it's all the drainage plan. So, based on the areas that are tributary to the new development, they're all gonna be captured in either swales or pipes and conveyed to the number of basins that are proposed on the site.
Okay, it's sticking with the idea of the drainage. If you go to the CA 504.
504?
Yeah. Now, what is the average yearly water table in there? Yeah, I mean, everybody's waiting for the so-called average year that never exists. But, you know, what are we talking about here for a realistic water table in this area? Well, you had modeling in one place.
We did up front. So
yeah,
again,
I mean that tells you that water table is not that at some point under some conditions.
Yep.
Is not that far below the ground.
right. So throughout the site on both sides of the road, the soils do fluctuate. Obviously out in front, it's not, it's the water table is going to be a pretty high perch. Same thing across the street, but obviously as the grade goes up, the water table is going to be a little bit lower in those areas, and then it's going back down off the
But
back.
in general, water table follows the topography.
Right.
In general, I mean, we get calls all the time. You didn't tell me I got to drill. Does follow some grade. It's higher than it is down in the flat below the hill. But to that point, okay, where are we doing this 6-inch of fill and fabric?
That's a good question. So this is specific to the area on the north side of the road where the bungalows are going to go. Reason being, from stormwater standpoint, as far as the DEC goes, when you're doing your SWIP and your designs to get your water quality runoff reduction requirements, we needed to be able to treat that road that goes in there. So because we don't have a basin on the downstream side of that, we've opted to go with this type of design because
So this is a road mitigation.
It is.
All right, but the campsites themselves.
This is not campsite.
I know that.
Yeah.
The campsites themselves what kind of surface preparation is going in there. I, for the life of me, cannot see how you can drive an RV out there
As far
a
as,
good chunk of the year, unless you lower that water table far enough.
You're talking about the road structure?
No, I'm talking about the actual where the campsites are and everything else.
Very good, yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's, you know, I mean, he's gonna have to, obviously, that those areas are gonna be boxed out, raised up, you know, and have gravel placed in them for structural soundness. You're not driving on grass or dirt or through a field. So,
So if you're gonna put in gravel, I mean, would we
fabric,
fat, yeah, that's
mirror
what I'm
by
thinking.
fabric, gravel on top.
But you're talking a lot of gravel and a lot of fabric
a lot of campsites.
and a lot of campsites.
Well, that's the trade-off.
But what concerns me a little bit is it says up here, if necessary. Well, who decides who necessary?
Where?
In your notes. Number, oh, where did I read that? I know this pertains to road, but that same concept would apply wherever you've got a surface of some kind, I would think. If this type of a design was contemplated for underneath those campers. I mean, hey, if you're going to, you got to, obviously a pop-up is not going to have that kind of mass. But if you go in there with one of these, what are these things? 40 foot long, you know, I don't know what the gross weight is on those, but they got dual wheels and there's some weight there. Now, you don't want those sinking into the sunset because if you run into a high groundwater time.
Well, yeah. But I mean, they're built, gravel pads are built all the time in ground.
But
high.
do we need to see a cross section of what those pads are gonna look like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could, talk about.
I don't know, where do you, I
think it would be a good idea to me. I envision he's gonna come down with a road.
Yeah.
And as you come down with the road, you're gonna box out for your camper.
Right.
As well as you do with your road. So as you're rolling out your Marify, you should roll out your Marify where the trailer's gonna go, stone that the same depth.
Yeah.
Cause that truck and camper's gotta back and turn
Yeah.
onto that pad.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the same
Well, these are-
material that the roads that you're building in. It's gotta hold that camper.
Well, I disagree.
these are
with
pull-throughs too, I mean,
Yeah.
you got, that's.
Yeah.
That
Only in the sense, Dave, that the constant travel on that main road is gonna be different than just
Mm-hmm.
pulling in park scenario. You know what I mean?
But I just think
Right.
that,
That's why they do county roads different than they do I-81, 481, you know what I'm saying? Just,
Right, but
like, you're right,
I'm taking as,
But-
on a Sunday night, and you got all these people moving out,
yeah,
and say you got a rainstorm.
yeah. But you got one person, I guess for the debate we're having now, is it's you got one person parked on the campsite, you got 211 people on the main drive.
Yeah.
So, does it need to be built to the same spec? I argue it probably doesn't, but I agree, I mean, there's definitely prep that's gonna have to be done in anticipation for, even just the site performance itself for the individual campsites, yeah.
I mean, and then you just gotta take a good pad, because people have to level those campers
Yeah.
once they unhook.
Yeah.
It's all on, you block, you
Yeah.
level them, so you gotta have a good stable pad on.
if they're floating, you don't level very easily.
But-
We always camp
Then
in
it's
the
a
rain.
dual
We always
vacation.
camped in the rain, that's fine.
That's why we don't.
We never camped in good weather, it was always rain.
That's a rule.
Yeah. Had to rain, that's when we had enough.
I guess my thought is if you put all this money into this campsite, you wanna make sure people are happy when they go in and they come out, they come back.
No doubt. Yep. And don't forget with gravel, like typical gravel scenarios, a lot of this is gonna boil down to regular maintenance as well. So you're gonna be top dressing stuff, you're gonna be, doing stuff constantly anyway,
Yeah.
so.
I think we'd like to see a cross-section of what would be,
A typical,
yeah, your typical site. And then, I mean, your pull-throughs are gonna experience heavier traffic than are your backup, back a smaller trailer in or, truck, that type of thing. And just because we're too lazy to measure all this, the average campsite for, like the pull-throughs, or a little hard to figure, but what roughly is the dimension of those?
You always ask me this. I can never remember. Hang on. Yeah, I know.
Like,
And the one time I bring this and not my bag, I don't know my scale. I want to say 40 by. It is 40 by 100, I believe.
really? Okay.
We got smaller campsites also.
We do. And I think those are 40 by 70, I want to say.
I have a question.
Sure.
Across from the laundry room, you've got 9 campsites. I think they're campsites. What are they? Are they campsites?
from the
Across
laundry
from the
room.
laundry room.
Which sheet are you looking at?
Oh, I know. I think I know what you're saying. It's the one that's out in front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are cabins.
Oh, those are cabins.
Yeah.
Oh, cabins.
Okay.
There?
Up front?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What
what she's looking at, if you look at your schematic, your top sheet there.
1 through 9, Frank? Move. Your fingers
Gosh, I don't have numbers.
Right, one
Yeah,
through-
I'm looking at 1 through 9.
One from one.
Yeah, it looks like.
Oh, those are
just
cabins?
Those are cabins, yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Check CA 113, which
Also,
would be
it's on 102 also.
sheet 11.
Oh, two,
Do they have bathrooms in them?
oh, two.
Yes.
I'm looking at, Phil, I'm looking at 102 where you can see it right there on the right-hand side of the sheet. Slots 1 through 9, but they look like they're.
So generally speaking, the diagonal ones are gonna be 40 by 100s for larger vehicles, and the smaller ones are 40 by 70, and they're gonna be for your smaller trailers, okay. And what about the other ones here, like, was it, like 12 through 53
Those are more cabins.
cabins?
So where do you park for the cabins?
Right there in front. If you look at,
Park on site?
yeah,
They're all self-sufficient.
water and sewer.
They get full service, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know about gas, but
No, I
electric.
just.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be able to
Two-
pump it. There's no gas there.
But here, to the point of gas, is he going to have LP tank service? Is he gonna have a big tank to fill tanks? Is he gonna have an exchange? Every I would imagine campground would. And if you do, that's gotta be placed on the map, and that's what the fire companies they wanna know where that is. You gotta be 100 feet.
Anyway, I think.
You gotta be 100 feet from any building. Yeah, they could be doing fills for all I know, whatever.
I'm surprised if we try to push national grid with the gas out there. It's like that.
All right, is the water park still on? Is that on or off?
It's on.
Okay, well, these plans are still saying reserved for. We don't have any, so is there a design
Oh,
or
as far as
something?
the design goes, no. No, not yet. Certainly not.
Is this in
His
the
proposal.
realm of approval now? Or is this down the road?
Well, that's a solid question.
I think you're approving, he's asking you to consider the concept, I think, when it's designed, and ultimately it have to be reviewed by the proper authority to make sure it's all being done to code. But I think what he's saying, he's
Right, but-
showing it reserved for that, but I don't think you're saying.
But it needs to be factored in, it needs to be factored into your demand
Oh, yeah, right.
right now.
Yeah,
You got your water demand,
Yeah.
septic demand, anything else that's related to that, that needs to be factored into this now. you wanna build it down,
Right.
you wanna build it 3 years, then we can, we could deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it seems like we're getting mixed messages that it's gonna be done now or it's not gonna be done.
So there's no
We're-
mixed messages. He's gonna do it. I mean.
All right, but we were told this is a total build out.
Yep.
Once it's approved, we're building it all.
Yep.
Well, if you got something here that's not designed, where is it?
Right, well, and
That
like I
was
said,
what-
that's something that he's working on with us, not me. Because I don't design water parks.
Okay.
I mean, I could give it a shot, but it's
Sure.
pretty ugly.
What's, I'm guessing that, does anybody know what the percentage of recycling of that water is in the high 90s?
I would imagine it'd have to be up there somewhere, but I don't know.
I hope so.
Huh?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, after a year like this, it's probably.
Oh, evaporate.
Oh, yeah, isn't that, that's under a chlorine system and everything?
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gotta be treated.
Oh,
all that
treated?
stuff, yeah.
That's a
So
whole
he has to
different cat.
do these things designed and all that.
What's that?
The original plan, this is
I
3.5
know,
acres.
I haven't touched on the water park in a long time. I know that
That's what I'm
there were a couple,
It's a moving target.
a couple outfits out Albany way that he had talked to about that.
Sure the people that just do that,
That's all they do.
that's what you want to
Yeah.
do. Okay,
Not me.
I hear you.
You know, one of my concerns is that you look at all these all the spots for the trailers.
Mhm.
The roads, the sewer, every hookup. What's he plan on doing? I mean, you're looking across here, his road is gonna be Swiss cheese by the time you run all these utilities. You know what I'm saying, with all these trenches crossing back and forth?
Well, they would go in at the time when the road, you mean, you build that like you would a subdivision.
Right, but what I'm saying is, is he coming up with gravel in these trenches to meet the box of the road? Or is he coming up with dirt to meet the box of this road?
Probably gravel to cover the utility and then backfill with
With dirt?
whatever material is gonna be on in that section, yeah. So, dirt, yeah, dirt.
But, you know, it's like, every 15 feet, you're gonna have a trench. Between sewer, water, and gas.
Like crusher run, you want that, something like that? Crusher run?
Well, see, but that's the question Dave is asking. So, I don't know, I mean, I would guess if it's an area where it's gonna be grass, you're gonna backfill with grass. It's no different than any other utility trench.
Right, but, I mean, his mainline sewer, you're still gonna have a sewer coming to either your septic, your pump, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a trunk line.
There's a main trunk,
And in that trunk line, you're gonna have T's that's gonna go to each and every one of these lots.
Yeah.
On one side of the road and the other side of the road. Okay, you got short side on the trunk side, but on the opposite side of the trunk, on the other side of the road, you gotta put all those laterals. And I mean, you look at all the lots down there.
Yeah. But
You know
you
what I'm
would,
saying?
but you would do those at the time of construction, like a house.
I understand that, I know that, but what I'm saying is that you put your runner crush over your pipe, chip your pipe in, put your 8 inches, 12 inches over.
Yeah.
But then he's gonna put dirt. Is he gonna compact that dirt? Or are they just gonna throw it in, and then when they box the road out, just, roll the subbase? What I'm saying is that you're gonna have a bunch of this. You get a wet spring, or when you build up, you're gonna have a mess if you don't come up with gravel to the box of your road.
I would assume it'd be compacted at the time,
Yeah, I mean,
right? I'm asking, with
Well-
crusher run, you compact it as you went along, and then put dirt on top.
I don't know if it
I
will or not.
understand what you're saying.
You know,
I hear what you're saying, and I think Ed's absorbing that right
Because-
now for his consideration.
on the other side of the road, you're gonna have a water main,
mhm.
and then you're gonna have all those services. You're gonna have your shorts, and then you're gonna have your lawns going across the road.
Right.
To the other lawn.
Mhm.
You got a sanitary that's going over. So you got all these trenches going down this road. And I'm afraid if you don't even compact that dirt, you're gonna have an issue with your road. With your roads. And let alone, you got sewer, and then you're gonna have a gas and electric trench. Besides, going to each and every one of these lots. That's a lot of trenches going.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of envisioning him shelving the trench for electric, but in the, doing one trench with that, just to minimize the number of trenches.
Right.
Put water and electric in the same trench with a shelf, but
You can't do that.
they can.
You can put water and electric and gas all in one trench?
Well, he's not gonna run gas.
Okay, but you can put electric motors in it?
Wow.
Oh, you just got.
You just have to shelve it.
You're underwater low.
Yeah, and then just shelf up in the same trench. Fill up that.
But your water's still gotta be your water's gotta be 10 feet from your sewer.
I'm not talking sewer.
No, but I'm still saying.
Yeah, that's what, they're completely, so you've got water and sewer, but I'm saying, the electric, just, it's not.
Okay, so if you put your water there and your shelf for your electric, then you even got a wider trench. At the top.
Yeah. Okay,
But that
Yeah.
can be impacted.
right. I mean, you're still gonna have to final grade it, compact it. I mean, it's like any other construction site really, where you have those trenches. And those connections are gonna go up now. So it's not like he's gonna be continually trying to find that main to stub up every single time. It's all gonna go in just one.
Right.
I think that's, I think it's a good point. I think B&L would comment on that. Yeah. if that's-
What I don't see on here, and maybe there's gonna be some staffing plan he's gonna have to figure out. Once he's up and running, where are the staff, are there staff facilities in here any place? Where they come in, where they go to lunch, where do they park? How do they, where does all that happen?
I mean, that's a pretty good question. I'm not sure if he's gonna, either have them across the street or up in the, the camp store.
Could now be the time, it's probably more parking, there's probably gonna be, you gotta get them around, I mean, all this gotta.
Where, like, he's gonna have to service all these cabins on a daily basis, right?
Mhm.
I mean, or, occupancy, somebody 2-3 days a week, you gotta come
You
back.
might
in.
dispatch him from his other properties too, So
Okay.
he's got staff people.
I know, but he has a water park, people might be working there, it's with
Right.
down the road, where do they come in, where do they park?
That's a good question.
And lunch, you have people in the store, I mean, generally I see, typically we would locate staff facilities, staff
Right.
toilets.
Yeah.
I don't see it here unless I'm missing it under plan.
I'm fairly certain, don't
Right,
100% quote me, but I'm fairly certain that all that was gonna happen right in front of the camp store. I mean, if it were my
right,
development, that's where I'd have
right,
it.
okay.
Clocking in, clocking out.
Okay, I didn't see anything labeled or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you
Anything
guys got here, just so people that weren't here, we talked about contacting the fire department. I ran into the chief before he came in here, he was asking, I said, would we be sure that the applicant gets some of the required information so they can chime in? Told them we haven't done any public hearings or anything yet, but they get the early plans and said the plans are coming along. And there's a lot of design here they can look at.
So is it the merchant article?
Yes.
That's North Chittenden, right?
Yeah, they're not very far away.
And on the one, on GA2 page, there only has 2 employee parking spots for the camp store. So that may not be including any staff accommodations. I mean, they.
So I'll look into that all in one shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying,
The other thing is like the bathrooms and stuff, handicap accessible.
They're gonna have-
ADA,
Yeah, that's all required, that's
Yeah.
new construction.
but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to do that.
So those would be, subsequent submittals to Phil's office.
I'm more concerned with site parking and,
Right.
the infrastructure has to be enough to provide, that. That's all. I don't see it anywhere.
Anything else here, folks, we're moving along. If you were looking at the, I want to get the right page. Well, you can do the C8 100. That's the overview. Okay, there is a structure going on over there that's, a stick-built something that supposedly is an ag building. That is in the footprint of the PDD, is it not?
It is.
Then what is its purpose?
Well, as I understand it right now, he built it as a hay barn. So
I farmed it for a lot of years. That's a tough hay barn.
that's,
Yeah, I agree. Any more than the race car place is agricultural repair. Yeah. So if it's in the PDD, we need to know what that's for and how it will relate to the PDD. Because there's also a building that there is an ag barn on that same
So
side.
that's
of the road.
different than what you're talking about.
Oh,
right?
yes,
So
this
it's
is
the ag barn,
absolutely,
that's a different
yeah,
spot?
and that other
Trying to
building
tree
is
house
not on the plans, which needs to be on here. And where we're coming from is the perimeter of the SBL that describes the PDD, that everything that's in there has to be shown somewhere.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the question. That's not what's under construction now.
Beg your pardon?
Where that's located.
No, that's
on
not,
here,
no,
is
that's
not what you're talking
no,
about.
no. The
There's
one I'm
another one.
talking about
Okay.
would be your extreme left. There's a line that runs north-south or east-west here, and it would be somewhere sitting right about on that line somewhere.
The other side of the tree houses?
Yeah. That's, I'm sure, near as we can tell, but it's not located, and, you know, it's being constructed as an ag facility of some kind, but,
Which he was not supposed to construct anything.
pardon?
He was not supposed to construct
Well,
anything.
yeah, but he, you know, it's an ag, and that's a conundrum here to deal with that. But if it's in the PDD, it needs to be on this map, and we need to know what it's for, really. What are you doing with it? Gonna store hay? Better be a lot of hay in there. I would hate to have fill that barn the way it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else here, folks?
What about, so the B&L stuff, so maybe we need to get those guys to interact with Ed and give him some guidance of what they wanna see to give you guys a review.
Well, I would think we're limited to what Ed has had
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point,
Yeah.
has in those maps.
But are we
In other
ready to
words-
send it to B&L for
Oh,
some
I would say
comments?
yes. And I mean, we need to concurrently,
Yeah.
whether you give us the maps, we send the maps, I don't, you know, whichever's, you know, logistically works for you.
Yep.
Then at that, and we're basically gonna say, this is what we have.
Mhm.
What more do we need to have, would you need to have a complete review? And also, obviously, there's a cost involved. Can you start to project what that might be, and we can communicate that to Mr. Taylor?
So,
That's a,
so I'm not sure who you're gonna deal with from B&L, but the typical person is Taylor Botar, who works with the board a lot, Chris Lawton.
Yep.
And, I'm gonna whiff on her name, I can't think of her.
well,
I'm not sure who's gonna review this with you, Ed, but I would say if you wanna give him a call and let him know. I mean, I mentioned to him this project's going
Taylor would be the
He'll
main.
give the
I'll
board a
take it.
quote as to what they think we're getting into, and then the typical, the way the law works in a town is there's a deposit, you know, it's where the deposit fees, it's an estimate and all that kind of stuff.
I do have a question on one CI 100. What is the dash lines that's not labeled above that ag barn? Is that a septic that's just not
Yes.
not
That's a good
labeled?
question.
Okay.
Yes, that's what that is.
Which thing is that?
It's right above the ag barn in CA 100. There's a dash, look
Oh,
like
the
a
dotted
septic
line?
area, unlabeled.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't show up on the blow up.
Right.
Now, we go back to the fences. Is that the watering hole for the animals too?
On the north side of the road.
Which one, Frank?
That, and on the north side of the road, the animal enclosure in front of the tree houses, there is a stormwater drainage basin. Okay, and I asked if that was the watering hole also for whatever animals are in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, the integrity of that basin will change with animals. That would be, I think that might be impactful.
Yeah, we can look into that too.
You know, yeah, I mean, you don't gotta go that far to get a pond. You could dig a pond and have your stormwater a separate issue, if that's the way you want to water the animals. Because, you know, we don't, are there any utilities or anything else going out there?
No.
Okay.
Did we already talk about lighting yet? I can't remember if we discussed the actual, the
Yeah, I don't
lighting
know
for
what the
the
lighting is.
project is. Especially like out in that back side where the bungalows are.
Yep.
They'll have individual lighting
Yeah.
to help the people, and they'll be all, I mean, typically the board asks for a downcast shielded lighting.
Yeah.
But obviously that would illuminate the area for safety, but not fire it out into the sky.
Right.
Then
This, I'm sorry, just one point though, it's weird. That road that is going around the back of the tree houses and stuff, looks like, I mean, if we scaled that out, how many feet is that off the property line?
That's the geotech road, right?
Pardon?
That's the geotech road we're talking about.
right,
Right? That's the one that's the geofabric?
Yeah. How far is that off the property line, adjacent to that?
20?
20 feet? Okay.
Now, the other thing, you had on the treehouse bungalow, it says typical of 16, but there's actually 17 structures there. So, you know, that's,
You guys love to catch our misnomers.
well, I was looking at it and I'm just, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. So I was just curious as to, you know, if they're supposed to be 16 or
Almost like
17.
Rain Man.
Gotta do
Look down,
something.
I tell you,
17 it
bricks
is.
fell on the
So,
ground.
every drawing
okay,
that
so-
road.
I don't think, can't be 20 feet if it's on the boundary. Their road would be about 60 feet wide. Right? If it's 20 to the lower boundary, maybe.
I'm looking at the
eastbound.
I'm looking at the scale here
Like to the east, right?
to the east.
That can't be 20. That means your fabric road is about 60.
Figure this out.
All right, I'm only looking at my reduced scale here.
That's the way I would look
I think it's more like about
Doing
less,
it side-
at it.
less than 10.
That looks pretty tight.
Yeah.
It's less than 10 or 8, right?
Hang on.
It can't be
I'm gonna
20.
tell you.
Well, we've got plenty of room.
Yeah,
Somewhere between 10 and 15.
And what's the width of the geotech on the road?
That's 20.
It's just graphically not correct.
What's that?
It's not correct graphically, I can tell. It can't be the same.
Yeah, it is. I just corrected myself on the distance
look
off
at
the
it.
property line. I said 10 to 15.
same as that?
John,
No.
In the road,
it's 10 to 15 feet off the property line.
Okay. 10 feet probably.
I don't know. I'm using the tick mark on a piece of paper.
All right.
okay.
So,
but the other thing that follows along with the lighting is the signage. Where's there gonna be any signage for the?
yeah, that's a good question. I think the last time we were in, I think the idea is, there's going to be just a main sign out front, but
It should
obviously
be,
we'll
yeah, it
have
should
to
be
supply
depicted on there, yeah.
the board with
You know,
that.
lighting for the sign, et cetera.
What'd you say, Ed? Was it internally lighted or uplighted or downlighted, the sort of off the road to show this is the place, or this is our park? I can't remember. I think you told us
It was
before, I
in the
forgot.
letter.
What,
Yeah.
do we have an elevation of that?
No.
We would probably want to see that.
Just where it's gonna be, dimensions.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before. I forgot.
And I think we had kind of the idea was to limit it based on the old PDs.
Right. I think, yeah, you guys had said.
That would be a different issue. Yeah, I would think. I'm not sure if we want to get into that.
No, I just.
Yeah. But I think that way, I think what we've done tonight, we've talked about, we've kind of, scattershot around the different things.
Yeah.
But I think now that the bulk of it, the threat of it is get this to B&L.
Yeah.
Let B&L say, we need this, we don't need this is fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Obviously, they're gonna look, where's the traffic, where's the septic? Now, you mentioned SWIP. Is the SWIP being done?
Yep.
Are
So
you
we do
doing
the
the
SWIP.
SWIP?
We do the SWIP live when we're doing the plans, because the drainage, obviously, it's when we're doing the plans for the drainage. We've got
Okay.
all the programs open to be running that, so we've got the SWIP started too, so that we're.
Okay,
we're
but
putting-
that's a work in progress.
It is,
Okay,
yeah, and it's dangerously close to being done.
pardon?
I said, and it's dangerously close to being done, just with the drainage all being done.
Okay.
Frank, just real quick, so we've covered with the whole board. So we got comments back from SHPO, and Ed's addressed the comments through they asked for some photographs of some existing buildings. I think we just need to work with Ed's office to get these uploaded in response so that, and we'll have to work at another time, Ed, with the lady in your office that does this, because I think my secretary is really good about getting this kind of stuff on the CRIS system, if that's what it needs. She can talk to her, and the two of them can try to figure out how to get this up.
So she tried to upload those.
Yeah,
a couple
and she
days
couldn't
ago.
do it, she said, because it had to come through us, right?
Yeah, it had to do with whoever originated.
Yeah, we created the portal, I guess, for the CRIS system on this, and I think they tried to respond. I got the photos done of the buildings that SHPO was interested in seeing. So I think we're gonna have to have Ed's office and my office work together to upload that to see what they think about the pictures. Personally, having been through these, I don't have any big concerns about it, but we'll see what SHPO says. So that should happen. And then the other thing was, you guys saw the health department letter just acknowledging we are the lead agency now, so that's
Right.
happened. And they've got a list of the things that.
Has Ed seen that?
You've seen this July 14, 2011. If not, I'll have to get Phil. Would you be able to make a copy if Ed doesn't see that? No surprises. Did that come to me or did that come to?
I have not seen it.
Came back, I got it, I was copied on
Okay.
it.
How many copies do you want?
How many need it?
Just one.
We'll make a few and then some of the board members.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you make them in color because I highlighted it so you can find stuff?
Give me a name, quick.
Katie,
Katie,
Oh, God.
can you also do this so that Ed can have this back?
Yep.
Or are you good with this?
You can keep that.
Hi,
You can keep
can we
that.
just have,
Can I make a couple copies?
Yeah, 5 or 6 copies.
Okay.
We'll have that done.
Bail me out. Katie, oh yeah. No. All right, do we have any other, everybody comfortable where we are tonight? I thought was productive.
Very close.
Okay.
oh, that's right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got a photo somewhere with
I think the big thing now is
Jason.
brace yourself for being
Okay, can we,
One of
Steven.
what they need or.
Enjoy, I guess.
Send a letter, says everything's good to go.
okay. So, John, your feeling is, so that we're on the same page, that we need to wait for some of these, like traffic and reports and
Yeah,
stuff.
because we're gonna go through part 2 and talk about, is there a large impact? I think what Ed's gonna submit is gonna suggest to you that there might not be a large impact with traffic or whatever the environmental impact is. He's presenting stuff to us that we're gonna plug into our review of the part 2 of the seeker, and we'll analyze that at an upcoming meeting and say, we're good or we're not good, whatever it is. Ultimately, you have to get to the point where you're gonna say, we're either gonna give this a positive declaration, which means that they're gonna have to prepare an environmental impact statement on certain specific items, or they front-loaded it enough so that you're comfortable that there's not gonna be a significant negative environmental impact from these things, in which case that would lead to a negative declaration and the next step towards potential approval of the project. So that's,
Okay.
it's a critical element of the entire thing.
I was more or less thinking it would raise the consciousness of what would be those topics.
Exactly, yeah.
By
yeah,
doing
yeah.
this at this point,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna come up with the mitigations.
Yeah, and this was a
Basically,
good exercise
without-
tonight to go
Without
through.
throwing it into a DIS situation, without doing it. We've done that in
Yeah.
big, large projects in the past.
Yeah, I'm working on 3 right now for my own clients. We're preparing 3 different EISs right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, all right. If everybody's okay with that? That's what we'll do.
all right, and we'll get you the copies this week.
Yeah, we can get our copies back. I think we're good? Board, okay? Everybody okay with that? Now, you're not at the regular meeting. Are you an agenda item or not?
It's like a week after next, right?
Yeah, it's around the corner.
7.
I mean, we don't have anything really
I
new.
think we'll do it like we did the last time. Just pull it down to the wire if we've got.
26.
Okay,
Really, I mean, you've already seen the project, so we're not coming in with anything
It's
new.
less than 2 weeks, but.
If we get something appreciable between now and then I'd say.
okay, well, we'll leave it like that,
Right.
and then, you know, and if you don't want, if you just, we'll put you on tentatively.
I like that.
If there's nothing really we're gonna accomplish, let's not.
Yep.
You know, and then we can go from there, and we can decide on whether we do a separate meeting. We don't have an hour in the regular meeting
Right.
when we have the other agenda. We've got a lot of agenda items, but they're 5-minute items.
Right.
Okay,
I think this works very well.
yeah,
I
so
think-
that's not a problem.
Okay.
Sure.
All right?
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let's get you the paperwork you need here. Yes, sir.
Going off, okay?
Are you, yeah, let's, do we need a motion to adjourn though, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion made to adjourn, any discussion? Not hearing any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?